Hello my gorgeous darlings, I hope you're okay on this fine Thursday. It has come round again so quickly. The topic that I want to talk to you about today is a very simple topic, but one that I think is very overlooked in our very busy, demanding, hectic lives, and that is joy. When is the last time you did something purely for joy? Not because you had to, not because it was a tick off the to-do list, something that lit you up even for a minute. My guess is probably it was a little while ago. And this was a topic that I realised I wanted to talk to you about at the weekend. I was merrily in the garden, and I haven't been in the garden properly like that for ages. I was digging away. I wrote Mr. Ridley in. I wrote one of the Bambinos in. They were rebuilding a wall that had collapsed. And I was just digging and weeding for hours. And before we knew it, it was 8 o'clock. We hadn't even thought about dinner and the time had just disappeared. And I realised that gardening brings me so much joy. I'm going to do more of it. And I was telling a friend the other day, it did make me laugh. Do you remember in school doing something called I'm going to butcher this now, was it the Kumon test? And you had to answer loads of questions. This was in that really annoying career session. You know, you had career sessions from time to time when you got to a certain age, I think, when you were maybe 14, 15, and you had to answer all of these questions, not necessarily related to career, but quite obscure things like, do you like to be outside? And there were loads. And this was at the point where I'd been watching far too much Ally McBeal. If you don't understand that reference, you're not as old as me, which is fine. Ally McBeal was the hotshot lawyer. It was a TV show and not everybody, that's a ridiculous statement. If you were aspiring to be a lawyer, you wanted to be like her. And at this point, I was doing this Kumon test. I so desperately wanted to be a lawyer. And I did become a lawyer many moons ago. But that was not my path. Anyway, so I was busy filling out this Kumon test. And the result of this Kumon test said my perfect career, drumroll, was a gardener. And I think now, do you know what? They're probably not that far wrong. I love anything related to health, and I feel like gardening is an extension of that, because anytime you can, be out in nature, stick your hands in the mud, that's a really grounding practice. And if you can, grow your own food, that is a really, really brilliant way to nourish your body. So I realised, oh my goodness, gardening brings me so much joy. And that's what I want to come on here and talk to you about today, my darlings. Now, I don't think we appreciate how vital joy is for our health, and it's very much seen as a healing frequency. And I don't know if I'm allowed to show you this. I really hope I don't get in trouble. This here is something, as you can see, I've had pegged on my pin board for absolutely ages, years. This is from a book called Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Now, for those of you that don't know Joe Dispenza, he's I think he is, fully fledged doctor of medicine, and he was involved in an accident. I think he hurt his back. I'm not very good with the details today, am I? And he was basically told that he wouldn't be able to walk. And he just didn't accept that. And he started to kind of look into the power of the mind. And with the power of the mind, thinking that he was going to get better and doing other things as well, he was able to walk within a really short time frame. I think he says 10 weeks. He's an amazing, amazing guy. Do go check him out. And he absolutely believes in the kind of power of the mind and the mind, body, soul connection. Really interesting. Anyway, in his book is this chart. And as you can see, it's a scale of some emotions with different energies. And they have found that different emotions have different vibrations. And if you look, I need to do this, joy is right up here. It's that line there. So really, really high vibration. And the laws of the universe state that whatever vibrations you give out, you attract more of that vibration to you. So the more joy that you feel, the more joy you will attract into your life. So it's really super important. I know that's quite woo-woo, but it's something that I live by this. And you can kind of see down here, like suffering, victimization, pain, fear, guilt. These are much lower vibrations and frequencies. So if you kind of stay stuck down there, you're just going to attract more of that into your life. So the more that you can kind of get up here into kind of joy and gratitude and love, the better. So joy is a very healing frequency. But just to run through a few of the things that it can do to kind of benefit your health. It lowers cortisol, our stress hormone. And we all know in perimenopause, menopause, if you're there yet, our stress hormones are kind of going haywire because our progesterone, which is our kind of calming hormone, is lowering. So our kind of cortisol is kind of coming up. It eases inflammation, it supports hormonal balance, it supports our immune system, it aids with digestion, it helps with sleep, it kind of lights up our brain and gives us those feel-good hormones such as dopamine and oxytocin, which is kind of the love hormone. Like when you cuddle, when you stroke a pet, that's kind of a hormone that gets released. And emotionally, it brings us clarity, it brings us motivation, and it brings us connection. You know, if we're doing things with people that spark joy, that's kind of a really connecting point. So joy is really, really important to our health. So what sparks joy? You know, what is it? What is it that sparks joy? Well, the beauty of this is that it's different for everybody. So, I'm not just going to reel off a list here of things that might spark joy in you. It's something that you need to figure out for yourself. It could be things like dancing. It could be your favourite drink. It could be painting. It could be singing. For me, I thought I would reel off my list in case that helps anybody. But I find it really helpful to think about, for some of them, the things that I used to love doing as a child, number one. Number two, what do I lose myself in? What do I kind of start doing and then next time I look up, hours have passed? I think that's always a really good sign that you're doing something that sparks joy. And thirdly, kind of what makes you kind of come alive, what kind of stirs within you and makes you feel vibrant again. And I think it's really important to make a list. Make a list of 10 things that spark joy. So, and if you don't get to 10, that's fine, but you need to find the things that get you to 10. You need to find more things that bring you joy. More joy in your life brings more joy into your life, as we have just discussed. So my joy list is this: dancing like no one's watching, snuggles, cuddles. I'm a very tactile person with Mr. Ridley, with my children, with Rocket the dog, losing myself in gardening. I love gardening. I especially like growing my own vegetables, and we haven't really done any of that since we moved back to England. Herbs, yes, but I really want to get back into growing my own fruit and veg. I love that. Singing at the absolute top of my lungs to Whitney Houston or Mariah Carey or any of the great warblers on my karaoke machine. Cross stitch. You all know I've resurrected my cross stitch. I've nearly finished it actually. I need to show you that. Walks in nature. I love being in nature. Absolutely lose myself in nature, whether that be on a beach, in the forest. Love it. Walking bare feet on the ground brings me a lot of joy. A slow cup of something I love to drink. It might be matcha. It might be a cacao. It might be a good old-fashioned cup of breakfast tea. But drinking a warm drink without rushing brings me a huge amount of joy. Playing tennis. Absolutely love tennis. And cooking. I very much enjoy cooking for people and for hosting people. So that is my joy list, and I would very much love for you to write one for yourself as well. And then I think the last thing that I wanted to talk about was kind of how do we incorporate those things daily? Well, we can schedule it. If you're a scheduler, even if it's for 5 minutes, just put 5 minutes of joy, or pick a few things from your list and put it in so you're doing it daily. Start your day with something uplifting, be it your favourite cup of something hot, be it putting music on, having a little dance in the kitchen. If you start the way with joy, it's a really good way to kind of continue that throughout the day. Allow yourself to be playful. Wear a bright colour, wear your favourite colour, dance like no one's watching, laugh out loud. And the final thing that I want to talk to you about is drop the guilt and drop any kind of association to productivity. Joy is not supposed to be about either of those things. As I showed you before, guilt's right down here, low vibration. Joy's up here. We don't need guilt. I spent 10 years in a state of guilt thinking I wasn't a good enough mummy. And I know I'm a brilliant mummy, but I didn't waste 10 years. That sounds dramatic, but that is not a nice place to live in, guilt. So please, please, please do not feel guilty when you are doing things that bring joy. And also don't feel like you have to be achieving anything. You don't have to associate your joyful things with achieving anything. It's really okay to go a whole day, believe it or not, without achieving anything. If you have cultivated joy in your life that day, you actually have achieved something, because you've achieved raising your vibration, which is super important. So yeah, a bit of an airy-fairy video today, but really, really important. And I think, as I said at the start, it's something that we do not prioritise nearly enough. So I really invite you to start bringing lots more joy into your life. Feel free to leave a comment below of the things that bring you joy. Sending you so much love and so much joy, my darlings. Have a great day.